It is Education Week in the border city. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we see some familiar faces read to students at Rendell Park School.
Tip the puck, woohoo, no sweat, Hartnell down, puck's in the net.
Grade 6 students at Rendell Park School had the lucky opportunity to have two Bobcats players come in to read to them. Education Week in Lloydminster has the kids actively thinking about what careers are out there.
We're learning about Education Week and what job you want to do when you grow up.
The theme for Education Week is Bright Futures, Bright Minds, where the students will be doing week-long activities surrounding that topic.
We have the kids doing an activity where they draw what they want to be when they grow up, and then they're to write it on the side. And then eventually throughout the week we'll do a little bit of more digging into their careers, what they want to do, and seeing what it all entails for them to achieve that.
On the Bobcats side of things, the two were eager to find any way they could give back to the community.
Yeah, I just wanted to help give back. I know a lot of kids come and support our game, so it's pretty cool to get in the classroom with them and give back to them. Just the importance of getting to know new things, and I think just reading in general is just a basic life skill every kid needs to know, so it's very important to develop that skill.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
Experience learning in action at the Lakeland College Open House on October 20th and 21st at our Lloydminster and Vermilion campuses.
Now, we've had a lot nicer day today in the border city compared to yesterday's gloomy, disgusting day.
Yes, it was nice to see the sun back out and, less cloud coverage, which was perfect. I didn't find that it was too cold or too windy. There was a bit of a breeze, but for the most part, it was a very nice day out, which again is always great this time of year, and hopefully that nice weather holds up until Halloween, of course, for all the trick-or-treaters out there so they can enjoy their evening. But for now, it is 16 degrees here in Lloydminster. We saw a very sunny day out today, a little bit of cloud coverage. That wind wasn't as strong as it's been. 17 kilometers per hour is the speed at which the wind is blowing right now. So it definitely, compared to yesterday, very nice day out today. Across the region in Alberta, 20 degrees in Wainwright and out in Edmonton, 19 in Provost and Vegreville, 17 in Marwayne, 18 in Vermilion, 16 in St. Paul, Bonnyville, Lac La Biche, and then Cold Lake is sitting at 14. And then on the Saskatchewan side, 11 in Isle La Crosse, 16 in Pearson, Meadow Lake, and North Battleford, and out in Macklin as well. 17 in Maidstone, 15 in Green Lake, and 14 out in St. Walburg. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford, expect a clear sky, which is always nice to see in the evening, and just a low of 4. So it's going to be a little bit on the cooler side. However, with that clear sky and that low speed of 9 kilometers per hour winds, it should be a fairly nice evening. And then tomorrow, expect plenty of sunshine in North Battleford and a high of 20 degrees. So it's going to be a very, very nice day out tomorrow in North Battleford. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake, also expect clear skies overnight tonight with a low of 5. So it's going to be a relatively nice evening. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, a little bit of cloud coverage, similar to what we saw here today with a high of 17. So it's going to be a very pleasant day out tomorrow in Cold Lake. And then here in Lloydminster, we'll also drop to 5 and also expect some clear skies as well. So that's very nice to look forward to. And that wind will be at 15 kilometers per hour. So it should be a very nice evening. And then tomorrow, a little bit more cloud coverage is expected for tomorrow, but we are still expected to see some sun as well with a high of 18. So it's going to be quite a warm day out tomorrow, and that wind will stay at 17 kilometers per hour, which is what we saw today. So expect similar feels for the temperature tomorrow. And then over the next 3 days here in Lloydminster, we'll have a low of 4 degrees for tomorrow with that 18 high. And then on Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, a little bit windy with a high of 14 and a low of -1. And then on Saturday, it will also be a mostly sunny day. However, it's going to be a little bit cooler at 11 as your daytime high and ending off the evening with a low of 1. And then taking a look at a viewer submission photo. Thank you so much, Greg, again for sending in these gorgeous shots here in Lloydminster of the beautiful sunset. It's always lovely to see. And if you'd like to see your weather photo on our show, please submit them to our new Facebook page, Stingray Weather and Pet Photos. That is your first look at your weather forecast. I'll have more in-depth overnight temperatures later on in the show.
Thank you, Abby. Coming up after the break, Alberta's healthcare system is the topic of discussion. Stay tuned. The Lakeland Wrestlers women's hockey team hosted their home opener last Friday against Red Deer Polytechnic Athletics. Our Thomas Wildman has more on the exciting action.
The Wrestlers were looking to get back at the Athletics after dropping their first game of the year to them. The Athletics would open the scoring in the first and would hold on to that lead, but early in the second, the Wrestlers would answer back. Haley Carruthers would score on the power play to even it up at 1. Later in the second, Red Deer would retake the lead on a goal by Molly Flynn and would hold on to that lead into the third. However, once again, the Wrestlers answered back. Kira Buziak would score 2 goals in less than a minute apart to give the Wrestlers the lead, and they would hold on to the lead throughout the third, and Haley Carruthers would get a buzzer-beater empty netter to secure the 4-2 victory. And head coach Morgan Mann was happy that his team never gave up.
We stuck with it. We ended up, I think, with 44 shots and to their 18, so we felt like we had each period really good momentum and opportunities, but sometimes just a bounce the other way and a couple of breakdowns where we had a away goal and then lost some coverage in front of the net on the first goal. So we just had to stick to it, and sometimes that can be deflating when you feel like you're handling most of the play, but you're still struggling to find a goal. And a couple of big goals by Buziak in the third period to get us the lead, and then you're playing, with a little more confidence, and it's certainly nice to have the lead in a game for sure.
The Wrestlers will next have a 2-game homestand against the Olds College Broncos. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hankett Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. And we're switching topics now for the rest of this month in October, Stephanie. So before we get into that, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again, Stacey.
Well, we're going to be discussing interspousal agreements today, Stephanie, and I'd like you to explain what this is, and especially compared to a separation agreement.
So I use the term interspousal agreement really as a catch-all phrase that's an agreement that's between two spouses. So it might be in the context of two people at any given stage of their relationship. So it's not specifically relating to separating spouses. It could be relating to spouses who are about to start living together, maybe who already live together, those who are about to be married. People like to use the word prenuptial agreement, or even to those for those spouses who have already tied the marital knot. So if we want to just think about it as, like I said, as sort of a bit of a catch-all, and you asked how it relates to a separation agreement. So a separation agreement, in the terms that the way that I use it, a separation agreement is a type of interspousal agreement, but it only relates to couples who are actually going through a separation or divorce.
Okay, so now with this, even spouses who plan to stay together can get an agreement like this drafted. Why would they want to do that?
Well, a lot of people have probably recognized that sometimes at the start of a relationship or during a relationship, couples tend to have the best of intentions towards one another in an attempt to preserve the relationship. And so often spouses will promise things to one another in relation to maybe what could occur if they did separate. So, for example, we agree that if we separate, we would waive our right to such and such, or that our ability to divide up the such and such is going to be limited. Quite often, though, when separation occurs, those promises, which a lot of them will just remain verbal, tend to be forgotten or pushed to the side, or nope, that never did happen, or they may even be discovered to be legally unenforceable. So I highly recommend that spouses or people who are about to be spouses enter into some kind of a written interspousal agreement in order to crystallize those agreements that they plan on making or that they have made already, to make sure that those agreements are enforceable at law.
So, what kind of things can go into an agreement like that, Stephanie?
So there's really no set topics. The way I describe it to my clients is we start out with a blank canvas, and we can construct that the terms of that interspousal agreement exactly how they would want. But of course, there's typical topics. So let's go into those. So the first typical topic, most people will come to me saying, "I'm in a relationship and I want to preserve my assets." For in the event that we separate, that's mostly what people will come to me asking about. So an interspousal agreement can specify how assets or debts would be divided, or alternatively will not be divided in the event of a separation. And there's lots of laws relating to property division specific to each province. So it's really important that you set these out in that written form to make sure that it conforms to that legislation, so that at the end, when you're looking to carry out these provisions, that it's actually enforceable. Another topic would be spousal support. So couples may want to specify whether spousal support will be payable in the event of a separation. And if so, what would the terms of that agreement be? So this can be very difficult to enforce. And so it's really important that the particular wording get put into a interspousal agreement to make sure that you have the most likelihood of something being enforced. Third, we want to talk about the children. Now, it's very difficult to put in any kind of terms with respect to signing off on rights with respect to children, or presupposing what you're going to do with respect to parenting time or any of those sorts of things. But what I like to talk about in an interspousal agreement relating to children is, especially if you're planning on staying together, what are the kind of things that you would want to do while you're together as it relates to the upbringing of the kids? Is there a division of labor that you want to see? Is there a type of communication that you want to plan for? And so again, we start with that blank canvas. And with children, I recommend that we actually look at what arrangements you would want to do while the relationship is still there.
If couples are wanting to do something like this, Stephanie, can they just write it up on their own, back of a cocktail napkin kind of a thing? Or should they get a divorce professional or a lawyer involved when they have this agreement put together?
Well, of course, my recommendation is going to be a very cautious one, and to say that the best practice is to have a lawyer draft the terms of that interspousal agreement for you. And when I say that, it's not at all intended to be self-serving, although it sounds very self-serving. Rather, it's because the requirements of these agreements in order to be legally binding need to be are very specific, as far as the wording, as far as the signatures that need to go on these to make them enforceable. Because the last thing that you want to do is to literally have your agreement on the back of a paper napkin, and then at the end, when that trigger point has happened, for example, separation has happened, and now you look back and you say, well, this back of the paper napkin agreement is what we agreed to, but yet then it turns out to be not enforceable. As you can imagine, there's a lot of law around the enforceability of these agreements, and there are people who challenge these. I've entered into an interspousal agreement and I want to challenge its enforceability. I don't want to happen what I signed off on. So it's really, really important, at least, even if you have the terms of the agreement, the content of what you want to agree to, certainly you can bring that paper napkin to the lawyer, but I don't recommend at all that you leave it at the paper napkin stage.
All right, Stephanie, great advice as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back again next week.
Thanks, Stacey.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Oh, hi there. Time for Extra Life again? Wait, what is Extra Life? Seriously? Extra Life is a charity gaming fundraiser. We play games to raise money for local children's hospitals.
I'm joined today with Quentin Patty. He's a local gamer and fundraiser. He is currently raising funds for local children's charities and preparing for this year's Extra Life event. So Quentin, why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about the event?
All right, so Extra Life is a 24-hour game-a-thon where we raise funds for the Children's Miracle Networks, which then divvy up the funds amongst children's hospitals in our area. The two primary hospitals we're playing for this year would be the Jim Pattison in Saskatoon, as well as the Stollery in Edmonton. Those would be the two main ones we've played for the last few years. And there's a wide variety of team members who all have their own reasons as to why they play for each different hospital.
Now that does sound like fun. Now I know you have done this for many years in the past, as we have covered you before on this program, but why don't you give us just a little bit of your history with the event?
So this is my 11th year. The very first year I had read about it in the Sun newspaper, and from there on it was a very exciting ordeal. Me and some of the original members of our team, Foxtrot Tango Kilo, would be like Trevor Reeser, Luke Russell, and even Blake was there for some of these. And it's my 11th year this year, so it's just it's huge. And my grandson just turned 5, so that's another huge reason as to why we all have our different hospitals we play for.
Now, with any charity event, people often get involved because they have a personal connection to the event. Is there anything specific that drew you to Extra Life?
Yeah, so myself, I was born prematurely and had to utilize the Edmonton facility back in 1983. And if it wasn't for facilities like that, I wouldn't have grown up to be the big strapping man that I am now.
Yes, now that certainly is a good cause. Now, what is your donation goal this year?
This year, we have set the bar for $9,000. This is in American, as the Children's Miracle Network is based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. So this year, we are continuing to shoot higher than we did last year. I believe last year we raised about $7,800 amongst the whole team. You can go to extralife.org and you can search up the team Foxtrot Tango Kilo. And from there, you can pick one of the different members. Each of the members have their own incentives as well as milestones. For myself, if I hit the first milestone, then I'll be doing a giveaway. And from then on, then the different milestones will involve me wearing full PPE from my oil field job. And then from there, the very high limit one would be me getting a makeover as well as wearing all my PPE.
Well, we certainly want you to meet those incentives. That does sound like a lot of fun. So if you're listening along and you want to contribute, it's a great cause. So, go ahead and send in those funds. Now, in years past, I know you guys have streamed it online. Will you be doing the same again this year?
There's going to be one of the streamers. His name is Godwrecker, and you can find him on Twitch TV/Godwrecker. And he will be streaming live from Babs. And so that's where this year we're going to be playing at Babs again, thanks to corporate sponsorship by L&L Oilfield, who rented out the facility for us.
Well, there you go. Make sure to tune into the stream if you want to follow along, you want to watch the boys game. Perfect, and thank you to Babs Gaming and to L&L Oilfield for helping to facilitate this event and to contributing to the cause. Now, one last question for you, Quentin. What are you planning to game? Do you have anything on your mind?
See, this year's kind of a toss-up. We've been playing some of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare series, as well as some of the Warzone. Some of the friends have branched off, and they're doing some of the Rainbow Six Siege. But ultimately, we're going to be in Discord hanging out with the homies, and we want to play as many games as we can with our friends. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can track us down on Facebook, Foxtrot Tango Kilo. We can hook you up with our Discord, and if you want to game with us there, you can definitely do that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Quentin, and we will make sure to touch base with you again before the event.
Now we've got one more story before we're all wrapped up today. A new tool has been spotted in Tesla's instruction manual aimed at keeping sleepy drivers awake at the wheel. Tech publication Electric discovered the feature in Europe for Model 3 Teslas. The tool is called Driver Drowsiness Warning and uses the in-car camera to monitor the driver's faces. If the patterns show they're drowsy, the car's touchscreen will advise them to take a break. Tesla says its drivers are still responsible to be in control of the vehicle at all times.
I think if you're tired, you shouldn't be driving regardless of, and like I think Tesla has made that kind of acceptable with their hands-off driving. So hopefully this will make things a lot more safer.
I mean, I guess we'll see, but I agree with you. I just think if you're tired,
You
get
don't
off the
drive.
road.
Yeah, don't drive.
I get you have a self-driving car, but whatever. That is all the time we have on Primetime Local News. Thanks for watching and have a great night.